and welcome to Fairway to Heaven right here on DSM Media. We're live, as we always are, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you know the drill. Smash that like button, share button, retweet button, and make sure if you're over on the YouTube page, thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It's also the best place to get involved with the conversation. If you have golf fantasy questions or gambling questions, the best way to get your questions answered by us is right there on that page there on YouTube. And let's go. Let's win some GPPs this week, guys. And I am Phil Stiefel, your host at Beard and Knowledge on Twitter. My co-host, as always, Jason Sullivan at JSully2121. And joining us again this week is Mr. Hunter himself at Huntman10. Good evening, Hunter. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Let's talk about some carnage this week. I think that's the word of the week, right?
We were talking before we went on the air, and I thought I said I'm about to go live. I clicked live, but you guys were still talking. I kind of completely cut you guys off in your little private conversation there. My apologies. It was a great way to start the energy in the show by, cut you completely off there.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Thanks for having me on, guys. Happy to be back.
So, yeah, obviously, the carnage of the Florida Swing begins this week at the Honda Classic. It's the PGA National Palm Beach Gardens course. I mean, we said it. What I'm about to say, we said at the beginning of last week's show, the Birdie Fest were about to end. Obviously, we were completely wrong with that last week. I have a good feeling that this week we will see the end of the Birdie Fest. But real quick, before we get to this week, I want to backtrack to last week and what we saw from Neiman and Cam Young last week, and just the birdies that were going on, and even guys like Victor Hovland and some other guys. I mean, no one could have predicted that kind of scoring output last week, could they?
No, it was crazy. I thought those two guys were unbelievable. Like you said, I mean, Neiman just played a flawless, not flawless, but pretty close to a flawless tournament. Obviously, we thought the scores were going to be a little bit lower, maybe around 12 under or something like that. He dominated from the start. I mean, I think he was like 7 under in the first 12 holes or something. It was really impressive with him. And then my sleeper pick of the week, I'm going to give a little kudos to myself, Cam Young last week. I mean, this guy's just a birdie maker, especially, I like him a little bit this week too, but I mean, I think especially in these easier courses, he bombs it. I mean, if he continues to be accurate, he's going to be somebody to watch this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember you bringing Cam Young up on the show last week. Do you always save like one little
I didn't. No. I got to post my sleep pick of the week later. I posted it after the fact.
Okay, gotcha. So, Hunter, what were your thoughts on such a tough course and tough tournament last week, playing so easy? Is that maybe a trend that we might see this year because of the level of golf that's going on tour, that maybe these scores are just going to start getting a little bit lower every single week?
Yeah, I think the distance, that's a given. I think there's just the distance that they're hitting in, hitting wedges much, but a lot of guys are hitting more wedges than what we're used to seeing. You brought up a good point with Cam Young there. On most normal weeks, he probably wins that tournament, but with Neiman just striking the ball like he did really incredibly, like you said, I kind of feel bad for him. So I don't know. I think you bring up a good point. We definitely have seen this Birdie Fest type of, competition or type of event more often in the last, 18 months, in my opinion, than in the past. So I don't really know. We've seen a lot of good weather recently as well. We haven't really seen terrible conditions. I think, California and Hawaii are part to blame for that too. We'll see what happens in Florida in the next month. You can kind of get into it a little bit, Jason, but, PGA National is definitely one of the hardest courses, in a non-major event. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing a little more bogeys this weekend, I guess. How about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. It's kind of weird because, so many people were hyping up, Riviera and how much they love that difficult course last week. And you saw that with the field that showed up. If this is if the players love, these difficult courses and the challenge so much, I mean, even with them moving it from last year's, what was it, right before it was later in the year. It was after the Players' Championship last year. Moving it earlier into the season, I know it's the first on the East Coast, but you don't have a single top 10 player in this field. You only got 5 guys in the top 30 in the World Golf Rankings this week. So I'm kind of confused if these players love these challenges so much, why we're not getting at least a few more elite players in this field. Jason?
I'm not sure if they do love it or not. I read an article earlier today when there was a lot of people talking bad about this course, just saying like it's too tough. I thought you brought up a good point though. I thought, separating it a little bit from the players and the Masters, I thought you'd maybe get some better talent here, but obviously that hasn't happened. Like you said, nobody in the top 10. It's a decent field for not having anyone in the top 10. I mean, it's not. It's kind of heavy in the middle region this week, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't think these players want, especially early in the season, want to go to these courses where it's going to be carnage, like Hunter said.
Yeah, I think back to when John Rahm got really upset in the middle of that one tournament a month ago. He just got upset about it being a putting contest the whole time, but you don't see him at tournaments like this. I don't know. Like I said, everything's been in California for the last month. I don't know if everyone wants to fly all the way to Florida right away. I don't really know. I think the fact that there's water on 15 holes, and you can just get bogeys like crazy. For sometimes it's just a bad bounce. It's not even really something you can control at times. I'm not entirely sure. That's something that's a good question we can dive into a little more, I guess. But I'm not sure why. What do you think, Phil?
I really think it has to do with, again, timing. So they moved it from an awful week of the season to another awful week of the season. And I think that's what like you said, coming from you've been in California and Hawaii all this time, and then you're swinging it over to Florida. It's not an ideal time. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have like legendary holes. You have the bear trap there, which is legendary. And I don't know, if I was an elite player, I'd want to be playing personally the toughest courses, and I would want to show off my excellence at those tough courses. And I understand the wooder in play and everything like that. And you got to be able to drive the ball. You got to be a good ball striker here. You got to have a good short game. You have to have so many things working here that you would think you'd want. I mean, I'm looking at the list of the winners, the last few winners. Matt Jones last year was a 12 under. You had Sung Jae Im, obviously in the field again, a great player. You had Mitchell. You did a Justin Thomas a few years back and Ricky Fowler a few years before that. But outside of that, I mean, most of the winners on this, of this event, they're not the elite of the elite. They're really good players. I'm not trying to take anything away from these guys, but I don't know. It's kind of disappointing a little bit when you see a field like this. In my opinion, it also makes doing fantasy golf a complete crapshoot because everybody's overpriced this week, and it just makes our jobs, breaking it all down a little bit more difficult.
You brought up a good point too. I didn't think of this before, but the schedule, separating it from the players was good. But like you said, I mean, the last 2 weeks you had Waste Management, and then they played at Riviera last week, which are two of the biggest tournaments that aren't majors of the year. I mean, a lot of the studs played both of the last 2 weeks, so you can understand why they don't play this week. They're not going to want to go from these tournaments that everybody wants to play in. Riviera and Waste Management is one of the more popular tournaments of the year too, to absolute carnage in Florida. You know what I mean? Where if the wind picks up, it's going to be an even bigger year.
Yeah, it's a grind, this course. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? And I just don't know. But so yeah, I mean, Jason, you write the article for FanShare about the course and everything. Obviously, we've already touched on it. 15 holes with water in play. What else do we need to know about this golf course, PGA National?
So it's a relatively short course, 7,100, 25 yards, par 70. This is going to be a course where you rarely take driver out of the bag. I mean, you're going to club down. You're going to have to play it safe. We know, like we kind of talked about it already, par is an amazing score. You're going to have to avoid bogeys this week. I mean, it's going to be tough to find any holes that you could score on. The par fives are relatively easy. They're reachable in two. So par five scoring, even though there's only 2 holes, is going to be really, really important this week. You're going to have to score on those. You're going to have to hit fairways this week too. Driving distance, I think, is interesting. Like I haven't decided 100% if I'm going to weigh that a lot, but I think that's kind of an interesting separator in some. Greens and regulations huge. The thing about these greens is that they're small, but they're also super firm. So you're going to have balls that are going to hit the green and roll off the green. So you're looking at scrambling a lot this week. A lot of the people that have had success here have putted really well in Bermuda, so that's another thing I'm going to be looking at. But it's going to be carnage. I mean, you're going to have to find guys that can grind. You're not going to see. I guarantee this won't be a birdie fest. I mean, you're looking at maybe 8 under to win this week, so it's going to be tough.
And what about the weather this week? I think I read that it's going to be pretty decent considering what it normally is down there at this time of the year. But there is some chances of wind. I read, right?
That's the problem. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. So you have each day has 9 to 13 mile an hour winds, which doesn't sound that bad, but Florida's weather is weird. It's like you could see storms pop up out of nowhere. This course is kind of known for that. It's like it might be fine all day, and then all of a sudden 2:00, the wind whips up and creates carnage at the end of the day. So it's something to monitor is the wind. I'm gonna look at that all the way up until tomorrow night just to see. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. And if that wind picks up, it's gonna be really tough.
It's almost like you can't even monitor the wind because they can predict one thing, and then for 30 minutes from 12:30 to 1:00, it could just get out of control and then just die back down. So it's almost like a moot point to an extent where it's so random when the weather will kick up that you just don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
What else, Hunter, about this course and what you're looking at?
Jason, I think you bring up a good point with driving distance. I cannot remember where I heard it this last weekend watching the broadcast, but I think it was even Tiger Woods who brought up a point of a lot of the guys having success last weekend were longer hitters because they're hitting those wedges into those firm greens. Yes, firm greens are really scary, of course, but if you're hitting, shorter irons into them, you're going to have a much better success or higher success rate of, sticking it rather than, those longer irons, I guess. So I think you bring up a good point there. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do off the tee yet as well. You've got to keep it obviously in play. I don't think the rough's going to be very penalizing, but obviously if you hit it in water, you got to be scrambling after that. So around the green and scrambling is really going to be important for me this weekend as well. I don't know. Like you said, it's definitely going to be a test of all aspects. Approach has been supreme over the last 5 years, of course, as it is with most of these contests. But you got to be able to scramble too, because like you said, those greens are tough to hit, and you got to be able to hit out of the bunkers as well.
Yep. So real quick, I forgot to mention at the beginning, but when we start talking about models and everything else, we are brought to you by Fantasy National Golf Club. You check them out, fantasynational.com and at Fantasy National on Twitter. In my opinion, one of the best model making sites there is out there. They got so much great information, and like I said, their model system is really great, and all their other stuff, their course history and all, it's on par with every other site. So make sure you check them out, fantasynational.com. And hey, if you sign up for them, even for like a 1-week test, shoot them a little message, let them know that Fairway to Heaven sent them. So I want to know, when you guys are building your models, I mean, the things I zoned in on, I put 50% of my model into approach, ball striking, and par 4 scoring. And I just want to know where they rank in your guys. I mean, that's a majority of my model. Actually, it was 60%. Sorry, I miscalculated there. Are those 3 stats for me? Am I weighing too heavily into those categories, or do you think that's pretty fair?
That's pretty fair. I feel
No,
like
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, most
sure.
contests. Like I said, I definitely want some around the green. I think bogey avoidance is going to be big this weekend.
I have 10% of bogey avoidance in it.
Yeah, huge.
I think it's the first time I've used it all season long so far.
Okay, yeah, that's really looking at and thinking about it, it's really been birdie fest for the most part.
Yep. So, are there any other stats that you guys are zoning in on, like ones that you aren't hearing other people talk about much? I mean, I've seen some people write about the shorter proximities, like 150 to 200. I've seen some people, focusing on the putting with Bermuda greens. I kind of just keep that as a separate category of this week, in my opinion. I know we can't all agree on the off the tee or the driving distance or driving accuracy just yet. But any other categories you guys are zoning in on?
I think you bring up a good point.
There's 2 for me. Go ahead,
Jason.
Go ahead.
I think you bring up a good
point. You go ahead.
Par 5. That's what I was going to say. Just the par 5 scoring. I know there's only 2 par 5s, but you've got to. I mean, if 8 under par is going to win this thing, you've got to get birdies. On those par 5s.
Okay, Jason.
So I have 2 that I like. I like fairways gained this week, and I also like opportunities gained. I like to use opportunities instead of birdie or better in tournaments like this or in majors where birdies aren't going to be. You're not really looking for scores. Like, yeah, you're going to have to hit your putts and like Hunter said, but there's not going to be tons of birdies. So I like looking at the opportunities gained in these guys that are giving themselves a chance to make birdie or eagle. Hopefully eagle.
Okay. Something else I'm kind of curious on, because I'm kind of bouncing back and forth this week as I've been building my lineups this week. Some weeks we focus in a lot on course history and tournament history. Other weeks we're focusing on recency form. So we kind of bounce around, take a little bit of both, last week I was so much zoned in on course history last week, where other weeks it was other things. I think this is a kind of week where you need to have some really good course history, but you really better be playing well as well. So it's an important week to be focused in on both your recent form, your last 24, 36 rounds, but also course history, because you got to know how to play this course, but you got to be hitting the ball well, really, really well, not to be falling into these water hazards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I think course history is important. I'm also kind of just thinking about experience too. I kind of like playing some of the younger guys early on in this season, but I didn't really go to too many of them when building lineups so far. Just because if you get a double bogey on one of these holes, I mean, you've got to stay in it mentally to finish the back nine or whatever it may be. So I could be completely wrong on that. I guess I'm kind of looking at some of the older guys. As we
wait till we get to the 6K range and you hear some of the older names that I'm playing this week.
Yeah.
Jason, thoughts on the course history versus the recency form trend this week?
So I like guys that have played here before, but at the same time, I'm going with almost no course history this week. Other than I want to see that you played the course before, like Hunter said.
Mhm.
But I think it's more about recency. Recent form more so for me. Like, you're not going to come in this course and be struggling in any point of your game and then get it right on this course. I mean, this is not – if you're struggling, you're in big trouble at this course. So there's some guys that have course history that I was amazed by at this course. Like Brendan Steele is one of them. We'll get to him later in the 7K, but he's just in awful form. I think he's missed 4 cuts in a row. But you look at his course history here, and he's got like a T3 and a T2 the last 2 years. So I'm not going to be weighing course history hardly at all this week, actually, and I'm just going to be going for guys that are playing well.
So what's really funny is when you go through it, so I just sorted on Fantasy National, I sorted shots gained total over the last 5 years at this course, okay? And so many of the guys that are in the top 10 have 1 or 2 missed cuts in the last. So many guys play well here, but it doesn't matter how well you play here, you still miss the cut here every so often, because that's how difficult the scoring conditions can get here. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Lucas Glover, actually, over the last 5 years, has the most shots gained total at this course. But he missed the cut in 2020. You go to Ricky Fowler, obviously playing inconsistently bad golf right now. He's got a win, a second, and 2 missed cuts in the last 5 years. So that just goes to show how inconsistent. CT Pan, 3rd last year, 2 missed cuts prior to that. T17 the year before that. The inconsistencies are so extreme that like you said, Jason, I want to see that they played here. I want to see that they made a cut here. I don't want to just see that they played here. I want to see that they made a cut here.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried. If they've got 1 really strong finish and 1 missed cut, I'm ignoring that missed cut to an extent, because I know they've been here. If they're playing well right now, that's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, let's dive into it then. Like I said, obviously with 0 top 10 guys in the field, only 5 of the top 30. Obviously, we've talked about this in other lighter fields, not getting upset with the sticker shock. You kind of got to, realize the course in the field and not worry when somebody is 9,500 or 8,500 when they're in the 6Ks normally. So sticker shock aside, your top 5 golfers, 10K and above, you got Sungjae Im, top of the class at 11K. You got Oost at 10.8. You got Neiman, last week's winner, 10.6. Berger, 10.4. And Brooks Koepka, 10.1. We'll start with you, Hunter. What are you looking at in this 10K and above range?
Kind of a combination, I guess, of a little bit course history, I guess, and just playing really well. Top price golfer Sungjae Im, not going to be a surprise that it's one of everybody's favorite guys this week. I'll definitely be rostering some Sungjae. He's just been playing really well. He's got a win this season. He's been playing decent over the last couple of weeks as well. He just kind of fits this course well. He won a couple years ago as well. I'm still kind of deciding on an ownership perspective what I want to do, but Sungjae's probably my top, my favorite guy, someone who I'll definitely have in my lineups. I don't think I'm going to be playing Louis this week. What are your guys' thoughts on Louis? I hate to say that.
Like we were talking before we went on the air, I'm kind of surprised at the ownership you guys were talking about for Im and Oost, because everything I was reading beforehand had them pretty highly owned. So I avoided both of them when I built the lineups I've built so far. I haven't touched either of them in any of my lineups because of the ownership percentage and the fear factor there, and also the fact that I think you get some better value down the board than those guys. But yeah, I'm staying away from both those guys this week. And I said it before we went on the air. This week is going to be either my best week ever or my worst week ever because I'm going completely against my trends and everything I do when building the lineups this week. So I don't know, Jason.
So Oosthuizen's interesting to me too. His price, I think, is the one thing that throws me off a little bit. Obviously, he can compete at this, but can he win? I mean, we don't see him win ever on the tour. So I'm probably staying away from him this week. My two favorite in this range are Berger's probably my favorite. I just think he sets up perfectly for this course. I feel like he's a little bit underpriced at 10-4 for what he brings to the table. I mean, you're talking first tee to green, first in approach, and fourth in bogey avoidance over the last 50 rounds for Berger. He's in decent form. He missed a cut at Phoenix, but he was at T20 at Farmers. He's done relatively well here too. So I like Berger a lot this week. And then the interesting one to me is Brooks. I mean, I feel like his game sets up perfectly for this. I mean, you're talking I don't want to say U.S. Open, but kind of. I mean, you're talking a major style course with those kind of conditions, and I just think Brooks's price and his betting number too is a little bit crazy this week. So Berger and Brooks for me.
That is exactly who I played. I mean, you kind of surprised me with your projected ownership there of like 30% on Daniel Berger, but again, I think that number will be a lot lower than that. I think Daniel Berger, he's the number. I've done 21 lineups so far. He's in 11 of my lineups. And the only other guy I played was Brooks Koepka. Because I don't think anybody's going to be playing Brooks Koepka this week. Because, he hasn't appeared to the eye test to be playing really well. But, again, like you said, a tough course like this, Brooks wants to win at the toughest courses all the time. So I love Brooks this week. And like you said, what's he, 20 or 21 to 1 to win? I absolutely will be placing a bet after the show on Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think we got to mention, we talked about him at the beginning of the show, but we got to mention Niemann. I know it's hard to win back-to-back times on tour, and I guess at his price tag, you kind of need him to do that. But I could easily see him finishing top 5, top 3 even, in my opinion, much more than Louis. He was ball striking the hell out of the ball last week, and I don't see how that won't translate to somewhere that he lives, just a few minutes away from, as he was saying in his press conference today. So I like Niemann a lot, and I'm surprised on his ownership number. I always think that goes up a little points or a couple points when the lineups actually lock, because he's just kind of a popular guy, and we'll see now, especially since he won. But if he's coming lower ownership than Berger, Berger's just got some question marks for me. I know the back issue was kind of blown over a little bit. He said it was fine, and then he ended up missing the cut. I think last week, or was it at Phoenix? Yeah, I've got some question marks on Berger.
That's kind of between the back and the missed cut. I was expecting Berger to come in pretty low owned, and like I said, I think he sets up really well for this course. I don't know what his number is, but I remember it was like 12 or 16 to 1. I'm not sure if I would bet him per se, but if his ownership can come in low enough, in my opinion, I think he's Berger and Koepka. I think I have probably 3 or 4 lineups I've built with both of them in them because I really like that combo, in my opinion. I just think I think the ownership's going to keep going up on Im and Oosthuizen this week. I don't think it's going to be as low as what they're currently writing right now.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, let's get down to that 9K range. Some different names, some names we haven't seen. We haven't seen Tommy Fleetwood yet on the PGA yet in the States this year. We got Billy Horschel, Shane Lowry, which I don't think we've seen Shane Lowry yet this year either. Alex Noren, wow, at 9,300. Matt Wolff, Keith Mitchell, Matt Jones. That's that range there. First off, Alex Noren, 9,300. There's the first sticker shock.
Sticker shock.
Alex Noren,
range.
Really? I mean, and it's not like he's an awful golfer. I mean, he's got a third place finish here before. He does some things really well. But man, again, like I said, ignore sticker shock. But then you see Alex Noren 9,300, and you're like, damn. I don't know what to do there. So again, we'll start with you again, Hunter. What are you looking at here in the 9K range?
Thanks. You're right. This is the sticker shock range. When you said that at the top of the field here, I definitely thought of this range. I don't know what it is with Noren. When he performs well in events, they just jack his price up like a couple $1,000s at times. He's definitely a $7,000 to $8,000 golfer depending on the field. I don't know why. I would have never imagined he would be, higher priced than Matt Wolff. I know Wolff has his question marks, I guess, but the win equity when you compare Wolff to Noren is not even close in my opinion. So for this range, Billy Horschel's, if he's really going to be 30%, that is the chalk of the whole year, I think. I would have to avoid that likely. Tommy Fleetwood's got some really good results here in his 2 starts in the last few years. I just don't really know, I guess. We haven't seen him in the States this 2022 season yet. I'm probably going to pass. It could burn me, but his ownership will be fine, I'm sure. I don't really have too many favorite plays. I think Shane Lowry could be kind of sneaky. I know, he's a Euro player, but I believe he has a residence in Florida, really close to the course. I don't know how close, but I think he's a sneaky play. If he's coming under 10% ownership, I think he's a really great pivot from Horschel, and he's a little cheaper as well. So that's probably my favorite GBP play. But otherwise, I'm probably staying up top with M and Neiman and potentially Berger.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Jason, where are you at in this range?
Yeah, pretty much echoing the same exact thing. I actually really hate this range, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be playing much in the 9s at all. The one guy that stands out for me is Lowry too, to be honest. 12th in Abu Dhabi and 24th in Dubai. Like, he's been playing okay. He hasn't played over here, obviously, but he's been playing decent. I think he's 3 for 3 and made cuts here too, so that's another interesting super high finishes. But his game sets up really good for this course. I mean, he's solid tee to green, opportunities gained, 7th in approach, 7th in par 4 scoring. I mean, that's 4 of the 6 stats that I'm really looking at this week. So yeah, Lowry's by far the best one here. But I don't like a lot in this range, to be honest.
I mean, you say Lowry, I went with Fleetwood, but basically, on a Florida course where you have to worry about wind, you want to get at least one of those European guys that know how to manage the trajectory of the golf ball in windy conditions. So, I mean, I went with Fleetwood. I mean, he had a 12th place finish a couple weeks ago in Euro too, but I went with a little bit of Keith Mitchell. Driving the golf ball is something that's really important on this course. Accuracy, some distance, a little bit of everything. And I think he's probably in the top from 9K up, one of the best drivers of the golf ball in this range. So I did sprinkle him in a little bit. And like I said, I have a little bit of Horschel, only 3 plays so far, but I may be, if his ownership's coming in, I might be backing those 3 lineups of Horschel out. And maybe that's where I get my Shane Lowry in those 3 spots, or 2 or 3 of them. But yeah, the 9K
so how do you question for you? How do you feel about Keith Mitchell if he's 20% owned? Does that change your opinion?
I don't know. Well, first off, I play quarter entries, the jukebox. Ownership percentages are a little bit different than, a lot of the ownership percentages that we read and talk about. When I send you sometimes the screenshots Thursday mornings, you're like, wow, how'd you get those ownership percentages? Well, I max enter the quarter jukebox, so it's a little bit different. You got a different type of player. So somebody like Keith Mitchell in the quarter jukebox, if he's 20% in the major, $3, $5 buy-ins, or the bigger events, he's probably going to be a little bit under that in the quarter jukebox, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't love it at 20% though. I would hope somebody like Keith Mitchell, the amount that I've used him so far, I would hope I can keep him under 15%. I don't know if he will. I won't freak out if he's 16 or 17. I'd be upset the amount I've used him at 20% for sure.
Yeah. It gives me a feeling that we'll just look back on Friday and think, why did we play a 9,100 20% on Keith Mitchell?
Yeah. I was
terrible.
Guess what? I told you guys I'm going completely off the grain this week. So I'm not even going to worry about the other. You know what? You want to tell me Billy Horschel is 39%? I'm still going to play him, because you know what? Something completely weird and wacky and crazy is going to happen this week. Wait till you hear some of the names I'm playing in the 6K range. Just wait, okay? All right, let's get into the 8K range. Jason, you can start off the 8K range. It starts off with Vito.
As opposed to
Patrick Reed, how is he at 8,800 with the seasons he's having? And all the other names here. Go for it.
So Patrick Reed's funny. I think he's the most mispriced guy in this field. It's wild. He should not be in the 8,000s. As opposed to the 9K range, I actually love the 8K range this week. I have a lot of guys that I really like. I'm going to go back to the well on Cameron Young. I mean, he's a bomber. He's been really accurate off the tee lately. So that's the one thing that really stands out for me. He's in amazing form. I mean, we saw him T2 last week, but I mean, he was T26 in Phoenix, T20 at the Farmers. He's first in birdie or better in this field, 8th in opportunities gained. I mean, I'm going to ride his hot hand. I think obviously it's a little scary with this course, but I think I'm going to ride the hot hand at 8,600. And then Zayden Hoot's my second favorite in this range. He didn't play well last week. He missed the cut, but he was in really good form before that. He's never played here before, but I mean, he's a good putter. He hits fairways. He's good in approach. He's just a good iron player. So I like Zayden Hoot a lot. And then the bottom of the range, I won't take all of them, but the bottom of the range is interesting. There's a lot of guys with good course history. Jonathan Vegas is one of them, and I kind of want to see their ownership numbers. But Young and Zayden Hoot are my two favorite in the 8Ks.
Yep. Hunter?
Yeah. I like that a lot. I'm not really sure on what I'm going to do with Seabez yet. I like Cam Young a lot. It just kind of goes against my theory of playing experienced guys. I can't hate on the play, though. It seems like he's kind of going on one of those runs that Zalatoris went on and that Mito went on back in the fall, too. And like you said, you definitely want to ride those hands as long as you can. So I can't hate on that play at all. I don't really have too many favorite plays in this range as well. I guess I kind of like the 7K range a little bit more. Let me see. I like Seabez quite a bit. I don't really know what to do with Aaron Wise as well. He's had some shaky results so far to start this season. He's come in chalk multiple times, and then when he doesn't come in chalk, he actually performs well. So he's got some decent results on this course as well. If I pull him up here, I don't have him in front of me, but
13th last year, 35th and 33rd, the last three times he played here. So he's got some really strong course history. But yeah, I'm with you. I put him on my maybe list, and then when I finished building 21 lineups, he did not have one check mark next to him. So I don't know. There's something telling me stay away from Aaron Wise. I do want to say, Jason, I love the student play. He's the second most used guy I've got so far this week. So I think that's a strong play. And I was joking last weekend on Twitter that I was back in the wrong Chilean sensation, obviously with Neiman winning last week. But I'm going back to the well with Mito again this week.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get off of Mito, but you know what? I kind of feel like I went back to Mito, and I went with a little bit of Mackenzie Hughes in this range as well. But Cam Young as well too. Riding that hot hand. Till Cam Young misses a cut, I'm going to just pretty much keep riding the hot hand there on Cam Young.
Yeah. I agree with that. Everyone's saying it's Mito week. I could definitely see it.
So many people. That's the only fear is when all the bettors start saying it's a Mito week. That those bettors are driving up ownership percentage, unknowingly in fantasy as well. So that's kind of what scares me there a little bit. But again, I'm bucking the trend this week. I don't care if every guy I own is 83%. So. We're going for it. All right, let's go. Since Hunter, you love that 7K range so much, then where the names are jumping out of the at 7K?
I do. So, like I said, I'm really looking for some experienced guys or some older guns, I guess we can call them. I like Chris Kirk quite a bit this week. I think he just kind of fits this course pretty well. I don't think he'll make those big numbers. I think he started off. Was it at Phoenix as well? I think he started off the first two holes +3, and then he just rattled off a bunch of birdies and was bogey-free for, I think, a round and a half. So he's coming in with good form, minus those 2 holes at the beginning there. I like him quite a bit. I like Stuart Sink and Hudson Swafford both at 7,100. Both of them show that they can go out and win a golf tournament. They're both experienced. I don't think they're going to make those big numbers. If they do, they'll stay locked in throughout the rest of the round. And like I said, they have the win equity. That's kind of what I'm looking for in this range, and it gives me that salary to go up above. So I like those two a little bit. You said Lucas Glover. I'll probably have some shares of him as well, just because of the course history. His form is okay. He had that terrible round a few events ago. I'm getting them all mixed up in my head, but I'd probably like those 4 the most: Chris Kirk, Swafford, Sink, and Glover. How about you guys?
I love Swafford. I got a lot of Swafford in my lineups this week. So He's out of the ones you named. He's 100% my favorite. Jason,
I love this range too. My two favorites this week are a little bit off the board. I do have to say I like Kirk and I like Sink as well. Two of my favorite plays this week. But I like Sam Ryder a lot, 7,200. I mean, he's been in pretty good form. He was T26 last week, T23 at the Waste Management. He finished 8th here last year, so I like that. He just sets up well at this course. He's only played here twice, but I mean, over the last, over those tournaments, he was 16th tee to green and 12th in approach. So I like his game a lot. I actually bet him outright this week too. And then the other one is Sepp Straka. He's just been solid lately. I mean, he didn't have a good finish at the Waste Management, but he was T15 last week, T16 at the Farmers. He's made 2 of 3 cuts here. And they were decent finishes too, 27th and 33rd. So I like Sepp Straka as kind of like a under the radar play this week. But yeah, Singh and Kirk are great plays too. I agree with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the other names I've got played in this range. I'll give you them all. You guys tell me which ones you like the best. I got Palmer. I got Denny McCarthy in here. I got a little Thompson in this week. Obviously, it's Swafford. They were the guys I went with this week. A name I want to say, we talk about how Patrick Reed so overpriced based off of how poorly he's playing. Yet they got Ricky Fowler right. Even though Ricky Fowler's got some great course history here, he still can't put it together. And before I did any research, when I was just strictly doing course research, I wrote down, is this Fowler's breakout week? I hadn't even written down or looked at DraftKings prices at that point. And then I saw his price. I was like, they actually got his price fairly accurate considering his playing. And I mean, I'm not playing Ricky Fowler this week, but if you're going to go more on the recent form, like Jason said, definitely stay away from Ricky Fowler this week, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what. It's probably going to get some hate, but we talk about Fowler way too much for how inconsistent he's been, I guess. I know he's got the pedigree.
We just talk about how he just got another another PGA exemption to another tournament. I think it was the Arnold Palmer. It's like they're just giving him exemptions every single week, no matter what.
I understand that, I guess.
That's because Arnie loves
it. I can be more entertaining on the golf course and miss the cut if you give me an exemption. Let me tell you something. People will tune in to see me and how I swing the golf club, and it won't. I'll still miss the cut, just like Ricky.
It's fair.
Yeah, of course.
Well, they used to call. It's funny that he got the Arnold Palmer exemption to the Arnold Palmer because they used to say that he was the Arnie of this generation. Like everybody loves him, just a good dude, good solid golfer. But yeah, he's a stay away from me. I'm not touching him.
Yeah, no. I actually had a delivery
at any
that worked
course
for me for like a year. And this was ages ago when Ricky still had his long. He literally modeled his whole entire lifestyle against Ricky Fowler. He had the long hair. He had the weird mustache. He wore the orange hat all the time. This was a 19-year-old kid. I mean, everybody loved Ricky, and yeah, he never figured it out. He never. Yeah, this run that Ricky's on, this poor run, I think he continue to go on for a pretty long time, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just not very well off the tee right now.
No, he's not very good at anything right now, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this 6K range. Before I start pulling out some random names here, I want to hear what you guys got. I want to see if anybody gets some of the names that I got on my list here in the 6K. So, Hunter, any names in the 6K? Or, I know we normally stay away from the 6K range, but, I got a few doozies here for you.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to pick one to make my lineup work. I'll probably make that decision last minute here. I think I have these guys written down. Anytime we're on a short-ish course, you gotta consider Ryan Armour and Mark Hubbard, in my opinion. So I got those two written down. Harry Higgs is down in this range. I think he could have been up in the 7K range, and no one would have batted an eye. He's been playing decent golf. He's been making some cuts here and there. He's just showing flashes of consistency. So we'll see. It's not a safe play by any means. Kramer Hickok, I just think he plays well on these kind of courses, these coastal courses that are a little more challenging, but I mean, he's not a great golfer by any means, but we are in the 6K range here. So I think those four. I think Hubbard would probably be my safest play. And then Harry Higgs is probably my favorite GPP. So how about you guys?
Well, Hubbard is my safe play. He's the one I use the most. These aren't he's not my stretch or reach or anything like that. Jason?
I love Hubbard too. So 3 for 3 on that one. I was surprised with Hubbard. So I used to always play Hubbard. My thing was like on easy courses or Birdie Fest, I would always play Hubbard. But he's actually 9th in bogey avoidance in this field. I mean, he's solid. Teeter green, he's 31st in the field. I mean, I really like him a lot this week. Kadira is interesting to me this week, and so is Lebiota. They both kind of set up well for this course. I agree with the Armour call as well. But yeah, I would say my favorite in this range is definitely Hubbard too, though.
Yeah, just hits fairways.
Lebiota is just you remember last year, Jason? I was such a Lebiota guy last year, and then he just never regained the form he had when he left because I think it was his dad got really sick. He just hasn't been able to put it back together completely and contend. And I really thought he was going to be up there as one of those breakout candidates on tour, and he just hasn't. I'm kind of not sticker shocked on him. I'm scared to play him. He's kind of like, I don't want to say he's dead to me because he's not Matt Wolff, but he kind of scares me to play him anymore. He's burned me one too many times. All right, so I'm going to give you one guy here. I'm going to give you his last 4 events, okay? And he's missed the cut here the last 4 years at this event. But before that, he's got quite a few good finishes here. But his last 4 events he's played, he's got a 56th, a 27th, a 9th, and a 20th. So recent form. Would you say that's okay?
Yeah.
Padraig Harrington.
Take it for this range.
Padraig Harrington.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's got former good course history here a long time ago. But Padraig Harrington, he's playing on the Senior Tour and the Euro Tour. 3 of those scores, his 9th place was in Dubai in January. So it wasn't a senior event. So he's playing really good. He knows how to keep the ball in the fairway, so you don't have to worry about him hitting it into the water. You don't have to worry about him making double bogey at any point. Padraig Harrington, I'm telling you, it's a sleeper play right there.
It's a sleeper.
I'll be honest, you're the first time I've heard that name this week, so you'd be all over it. It'll be 0.2%.
Maybe. But guess what? No, because hold on, I used him. Yeah, I used him enough to get it over 0.2%. No, maybe not that much. All right, I got one more name. I'm trying to get all his information up on the screen here. He's got a couple missed cuts. He's got a couple good. All right. So, and where's his tournament history? All right. So this guy's got an 11th place finish here in 2020. He's got 2 okay finishes on the PGA Tour, but something tells me Luke Donald this week. Dude, I'm getting some. I told you, I'm going completely out of control this week on my model and on my picks and my pool.
So Luke Donald actually popped in my model this week, which is hilarious. But yeah, he was.
That's why I started looking at him.
He does one thing well. His approach game is good. Mm-hmm. That is literally it. But yeah, he popped in my model this week. I think he was like 8th in my model.
He didn't pop that much. He was 29th in my model. 4th in approach. He's actually in my model because I did mine off of 36 rounds. He's 27th in par 4 score, or asking par 4. So, Luke Donald is a sneaky, scary play. At 6,400, if you want to play 2 guys in the 10K range, you need a guy like him. Why not? So, Padraig Harrington and Luke Donald. Mark it down. One of those guys is making the this weekend. Guarantee it.
I take that back. He was not in my overall model, but I looked at just factoring PGA National, and he was 3rd in that. So I take that back. I was a little bit wrong.
Well, he was 20-something there, like I said, in my model. So I'm a Luke Donald guy this week. Former world, wasn't he number 1 in the world at one point? I'm pretty sure, 45 years ago, he was world number 1. So. All right, you guys ready to build some lineups here?
Let's do it.
As his face is still up on the screen. Hold on. Should I leave his face up on the screen while we build models there? You guys laugh at 2 sleepers? No, let's take that off. Let's take that off. All right. Who won last week? I won last week. All right. So I'm going to go last. All right. So Hunter, I'm going to let you go first. So far this year, it's 3 wins for me. It's 2 wins for Jason and 2 wins for Guess. That's where we stand currently. So Hunter, it's time to get the win category. Let's put Jason back in last place there.
Let's do it.
It's on you here. So
I think I have one. All right. I'm going pretty stars and scrubs. I'm pretty sure this should work out. So let's go Im and Neiman at the very top.
Okay.
I considered Berger for a bit, but
that's a lot. You bet you want to play Luke Donald because you're going to need it after that.
No. Then give me Sink and Swafford. at the same price.
Off.
This could completely blow up too. So
You need some more 71 guys now.
Yep, and then let's go. I think this should work out. Give me Chris Kirk and then Harry Higgs. Bunch of scrubs down at the bottom.
Yeah. Jason, while I'm writing this lineup down, what are your thoughts on his lineup here?
So I like it a lot. I like the sink and swapper plays a lot. I don't think, I mean, like you said earlier, Hunter, I think, is that Harry Higgs, I mean, could easily be, if he was 7,300, would you even think twice? I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a lot of difference between the upper 6K guys and the lower 7K guys. So I really like it. I think that might be a unique build this week too, of going, 2 guys up top. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like Sanjay. I want to get a little different there. I previously had Hubbard in there instead of Higgs, and I had Berger instead of Neiman. So I'm sure I'll have a lineup like that as well. So we'll play around a little bit.
All right, let's clear that. Jason, you're up for the contest this week.
All right, I'm starting with Brooksy.
Okay.
I just have a good feeling about him this week. I'm going to go Seabass as well.
Who?
Zayden Hoot, Seabass.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry, I just didn't hear you there. Sorry.
All right, and I'm going to stay on the Cam Young train this week. Hopefully I can get one more week out of it. I'm going to go course history stud, Jonathan Vegas. He was my last pick in all fairness. That's what I had left on the board, so I figured I'd go him because he's got good course history. 2 of my favorite plays this week, I'm going to go Sepp Straka at 74, and then I'm going to finish with this week's winner, Sam Ryder.
Sam Ryder.
I don't really know if he's going to win. I don't really know if he's going to win, but I did bet him.
I bet you he's somewhere in the in the 140 to 1 range, right?
That's exactly what he is. Yep, 140.
Oh shit! I was just completely guessing there on that one. All right.
That's exactly what it is.
Hunter, thoughts on his lineup there?
I like it. I like the balance build this week. I've been going back and forth between the two. I think the balance is good. You definitely want to have those 6 of 6 lineups this week because I would assume that number will be pretty low. I really like your lineup. I think that 8K range is going to be the X factor. Like all 3 of those guys could miss the cut, but all 3 of them could top 25 pretty easily as well. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Notice how he didn't say any of
I kind of feel that about. So
you
know what's funny is I kind of feel like that about this entire lineup. It's like all those guys could be in the top 10 or they could all miss the cut. So
yeah, same. I was thinking, guys, these lineups are just like if you compare it to any other week, man, they are some ugly lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, well, you guys didn't use them, so I'm going to start mine with Berger. I'm just going to go with it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm going to use my man Potty Harrington. I'm going to play him, and I'm going to go Mito. I'm going to try to find guys that you guys haven't used here yet. What's going to happen if I put Keith Mitchell in here? I'll be 35% ownership. All right, so 74, 2 lineups to go. I actually didn't do any work or prep on this. I'm winging it here. You didn't. Nobody took Hubbard. Nobody used Hubbard, right? So I could throw him in there. And that leaves me with 8K. Zudenhout. We'll go Ryan. We'll go Ryan Palmer. That's what we're gonna go with. Yeah.
Palmer's interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I thought I mentioned him a little bit, right? I don't even need to write mine down. I can just click up. There we go.
Mayo's got that great. Sorry.
No, what were you going to say?
Mayo's got that great stat going around of him and Russell Knox. Knox has the best score on the bear trap, and Palmer's got the worst score. But Palmer's got better results in the long run. That's like the most interesting stat I've heard all week.
I mean, he didn't play here last year, but he's got a 17th, a 4th, a 37th. Ryan Palmer's played pretty well here overall. And, let me see in my model. He didn't do that great.
That's a great stat. I heard that today, too. It's interesting. Because Russell, like you said, I mean, that he's got the worst score ever on the bear trap, yet he's got really good results here. So it's weird.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like those lineups, though, guys. I think we got completely unique there. All
Yeah,
across
I think
the board.
I think we did go completely unique there. Normally, Jason likes to overlap with someone who likes to copy us, but we stayed as unique as we could this week, and we'll see how it plays out. Again, I'm probably not going to. Jason, I don't know if you ever do this, but do you ever check our lineup in this group contest and like just compare it where it would have finished, like in in a big match? Last week, I dominated. I won by over 100 points, but mine wouldn't have cashed in the 25-cent juice box. That's how bad our lineups were last week. And mine, it was a pretty. For some reason, these lineups are never overall very good lineups. I'm not sure why. I don't know. All right, so Jason, I know you said you already bet Brooksy. You got any other bets you got this week going, or?
So yeah, I bet Brooks at 20-1. I bet Ryder at 140-1. I put a small bet on Mito at 40-1 because it might be a Mito week and I don't want to miss it. And then Cam Young at 55-1, which is funny that I think his odds were like 120-1 last week, and now they're 55. So those are my 4.
Okay. Punter?
I don't have any bets down, but I probably would put one on Billy Horschel if I was, just because I'm probably going to almost fully fade him in DFS if that number's so high. I think he's playing well, but you guys know the game theory side of that. So I like his number as well. I'd probably put one on Billy Horschel. Otherwise, I don't really know on outrights. I'd probably go more long shots than anything because they will.
I heard an interesting somebody. I forget who I was listening to, whether it was Pat Mayo or whether it was Rick, about Matt Wolff because he's so boomer bust, and I don't know what his odds are. I think he said 35 or 40-1 or something like that. And I know he's really expensive in DraftKings, but someone like Matt Wolff could so easily miss the cut. But this could totally be the week that we think it's going to be a -8 or -9 winning score, and he goes off for -13, -14, and just laps the field. So I was thinking from what I was listening to, guys that are obviously smarter than me, maybe a very small bet on Matt Wolff this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 35-1. So I don't hate that number. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, what was he 90 what in DraftKings? Let me pull it back up here.
92, I think.
At 92. I mean, I'm not playing Matt Wolff at 9,200 on a course where he can hit the ball into the water 14 times and just decide to withdraw. But 35-1, throw a shekel that way. Why not? All right. So, anything else, guys, to add before we wrap this show up tonight?
I don't think so. I hope we wake up on Thursday morning and we don't see a bunch of plus numbers.
Yeah, that is the key, everybody. Now we are back on the East Coast. You do not have last week with who was it with Drew last week? Who was Drew right last second last? Fitzpatrick. Yeah, you don't have that 2 or 3 hour window of cushion to edit your lineups unless you get up dirt early in the morning. So make sure you're checking your lineups and you're careful with your lineups because, when you wake up 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, they're locked.
Yeah. You got to set that alarm 15 minutes early.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not happening for me.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. I am playing a lot of Daniel Berger this week, so I better double check Daniel Berger in the back of.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's.
Wait, real quick before we go, I don't know if you guys saw last week. So, Oakland Hills Country Club hosted I believe it was 2004 Ryder Cup. Had a really bad fire last week. Kind of hits home. My grandparents belong there from, I think they started going there in the 50s, and they only allowed males at the time. So my grandpa passed away when I was in college, and my grandma was the first female member ever at Oakland Hills, which is awesome, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, it's historic clubhouse caught on fire last week, and it was sad. My whole family grew up there, and we grew up there as kids too. I remember going there to swim when you'd see people, Mike Ilitch and Steve Eiserman, and famous people all the time there. And yeah, it definitely hit home. And I tweeted a few of the pictures on there. It was just insane. It was a wooden building that was built in the 20s, and it burned pretty much all the way down to the ground. So it was sad to see that. A lot of golfers were tweeting about it. Paul Casey did. So kind of a bummer. Kind of hit home.
Yeah. No, I did see that. I didn't realize. I mean, I know you're in Detroit. I figured you were in the same region of it. I didn't realize the connection it had to your family, and that's pretty crazy about your grandma.
Yeah.
Good
Wild.
history.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've read said that they will rebuild, they will do whatever, but I guess it'll never have the same luster of being the original building like it was.
Yeah, they said they're going to rebuild it. They're going to do an exact replica, which is cool. It's going to take 2 years, I guess. They said today, but obviously you don't have the history. They said that they had like a line, basically like an assembly line of passing out these, crazy golf mementos and things like that. Because those whole clubhouse hallways were all filled with like awesome pictures and paintings and all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. Cool building.
Awesome. Yeah. No, yeah, that was crazy news. Kind of went under the radar a little bit. I know it hit on some of the major, golf guys, tweeted out, but you didn't see much about it on SportsCenter or any of that kind of stuff. So it really should have been covered a little bit better. But yeah. Anything else, Hunter? Hunter, have you put out your article, your 6 for 6 yet this week?
Not yet. I'll have it out probably by noon tomorrow sometime. So
all right, so make sure you guys are following. He puts out a 6 for 6 article every Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Excellent work. I love reading it, Hunter. So excellent work, and keep up the good work with that.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on too. I love coming on and just talking all things golf with you guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So make sure you follow Hunter at Huntman10, Jason at JSully2121, and myself at Bearded Knowledge, of course. And we are live at Fairway to Heaven here on DSM Media every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Make sure you're liking, sharing, retweeting it out. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube and thumbs up on YouTube. Continue to spread the good word of Fairway to Heaven every Tuesday night here. And let's get crazy this week. Let's play a lot of Luke Donald and Patrick Harrington, guys, and let's win some money this week.
Oh, man.
All right. Anyway, everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you later. We'll see you next week.
See you.